Hello, everyone. DSP here, and I just finished my over 40-hour playthrough of Death Stranding 2. I've been playing this game for about a month and a half, and I'm happy to have finally finished it here on DSPGaming. All throughout the playthrough, people kept coming by the streams and saying, "Hey, Phil, what are your thoughts on Death Stranding 2? Is it better than the first game? Are there new elements that are different from the first game? What do you think overall?" And honestly, I gave answers as best I could during the playthrough, but I feel like I never could really answer that question until right now that I've actually completed the game and seen the ending and all of the narrative wrapping up. So, what I'd like to do in this video, very briefly, is give you a summary of my thoughts on the game without plot spoilers. So, no worries there. I will not spoil the plot of the game and let you know my final thoughts. So, when I played Death Stranding 1 back, when it was a brand new game, I also did an interactive stream and playthrough for my channel, DSP Gaming. And at that time, everyone was just wondering, what's the next game from Hideo Kojima? There was all this hype behind it, and everyone was so excited for it, right? And then when it came out, and people started actually playing it, and they kind of realized, oh, this game literally actually is just walking and delivering packages. Now, there was more to it. There's some combat where you have to avoid these raider bandit guys. There's also BTs, these supernatural creatures trying to kill you. And every once in a while, there's like a big boss fight. But for the most part, the entirety of the game is either walking or driving a vehicle to deliver packages to different settlements in a desolate world. That was a lot to take in, especially me being someone who tries to entertain an audience. It was very hard to entertain my audience during this playthrough because the gameplay, quite frankly, wasn't very engaging. It was more busy work. And Kojima actually found a way to tie that into the main plot of the story and say that it was on purpose and justified and all of that. I was pretty critical of him, to be fair here. And I basically said, man, I think it might have been a cop-out. He just wanted to basically pump out a game with a great story, but he didn't really want to put gameplay elements in that were very sound. He really should be a movie director or a TV director. He should be writing stories and creating them for a visual medium rather than for an interactive one, because this game's gameplay was so weak, tedious, and annoying that if you had just seen all the cutscenes, it would have been exactly the same experience as playing the game. Well, now we're what, 4 or 5 years later? Death Stranding 2 comes out, and everyone's question is Death Stranding 2 going to be different from the first game? Will the gameplay be dramatically improved? Will you actually enjoy the game while you're playing it rather than only while you're experiencing the story? Well, I'll be honest. Now that I've completed the game, here's what I can tell you. The game absolutely has improvements to the gameplay elements from the first game. There's more vehicles and or vehicle improvements that allow you to traverse the world a lot easier this time. You're not always on foot like you were for a big majority of the first game. Are there raiders? Yes, there are. Are there these BT supernatural creatures? Yes, there are. Are there new versions? Yes, there are. There's also a new edition called Ghost Mechs, which are mechanical enemies that you must fight. So it's basically like a third enemy class that's added to the game that weren't in the first. So there are new things. There's also returning things like the zip lines and stuff like that. The roads that you used to be able to build, they're all in there. But there's also new additions like the teleporter, where you can now teleport around for fast travel rather than having to actually hard connect or physically get yourself from point A to point B. However, even with all of these improvements, and even improvements to combat, because I will say this, they added a significant amount of new weapons to the combat that make it feel a little better. There's even a really cool melee weapon during the game. Even with all of these elements, Death Stranding 2, at the end of the day, is still, for the most part, almost nearly identical to the first game. The vast majority of this game, you are walking or driving from point A to point B, delivering packages. There are times when you fight, there's stealth, there's straight up gunplay, and there's big boss fights. But they're all kind of like, how can I say, necessary, but not challenging. I played over 40 hours in my playthrough of Death Stranding 2. I did some side content. but not a ton. And the reason being is every time that I went to do side content thinking maybe this will add something new, this will do something different, it was just more of the same. There were a few unique missions that I did do, which was kind of cool. But for the most part, doing an extra delivery, taking over an extra base of bandits, only just benefits you by maybe doing a new unlock of a new weapon or a tweak to a vehicle that makes it slightly better. But ultimately, the gameplay loop is exactly the same as Death Stranding 1. It's the same delivery service, the same combat and sneaking, and the same fighting of BTs and bosses. There wasn't even a new added element. You know, you would think for a sequel, well, they're going to add something new, a new element, something new that you need to do. No. Death Stranding 2 is essentially Death Stranding 1 with some streamlines and improvements and a different story. Now, that story is very good. Seriously, that story is good, just like the first game. When I was playing Death Stranding 1, my explanation of why I kept playing it, despite the fact that I found the gameplay elements boring, is that I was hooked on the story. That I thought that Kojima was a master storyteller. His stories were so unique that even if you thought they were wild and out there and this guy is high off of his ass, you're still going to have a wild ride, and that game is going to be memorable for you. Despite the fact if you like the gameplay or not, just experiencing this very unique story that you'll never see anywhere else was worth it. Some people say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. No, I disagree. With the Death Stranding series, the journey itself is the boring part, but it's the destination of getting to the story elements and seeing them unfold that's actually your payoff. Okay? A lot of the times, the gameplay of Death Stranding 2 feels like work. All I'm doing is driving and delivering. Oh, I got to get around this mountainside. I got to go down without falling and destroying my cargo. Oh, I got to get past this group of bandits and try to sneak by them. Or, man, I guess maybe I just got to go gung-ho and fight them head up. Oh, no, the BT, entities are here, and how do I sneak around them? Or how do I get out of this tight situation? But never any of it feels too difficult or challenging. It doesn't take a lot of thought to really figure out what you need to do. It's pretty straightforward, and quite frankly, the game almost feels like it's hard to fail. Like, if you go into a camp and just blow everyone away with guns, well, as long as you just brought guns and health packs, you could do that. Or you could do stealth. Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter at all. You just get through it and you go to the next part of the game and you're like, meh. But then when you get to a cool story element and a big plot point unveils and something cool happens, you're interested again and you're back. For me, my major criticism of Death Stranding 2, there's two major criticisms that I will say. All right. What's good about the game? The graphics. I played it on PS5 Pro. This, hands down, is the best looking game I've played on a PlayStation console in my life. I played it at 4K resolution, 120 hertz, so 120 frames per second. It's gorgeous. Okay. It really is. It's beautiful detail, visuals, everything. The graphics are amazing. The voice acting and the mocap work of the actors, absolutely amazing, best in class. I wish every game had it this good. Okay? Character models, absolutely outstanding. Music, interestingly enough, Kojima's music selection, as odd as it could be in some places, fits the game and actually adds to it. There's many times you'll be doing a delivery or a critical thing is happening, and this interesting music will play, and it matches good. All right? I like that. His selection was great. It's actually licensed music in most cases. The story itself is absolutely the strong point. 1,000,000%. If you liked the story of Death Stranding 1, you're going to enjoy the story of Death Stranding 2. And even if you find the gameplay elements tedious, you are going to want to keep playing to see where the story is going. And once again, I can tell you, just like the end of Death Stranding 1, this game explains pretty much everything, ties up all the loose ends, and has a satisfying ending. It's not one of these games where you don't know what the hell happened. You're like, no, the ending kind of makes sense. As wild and out there as it is, you get lots of cool exposition at the end, and you will get your satisfaction out of it. And in addition, the game absolutely rewards those who have played the first. Lots of characters from the first game carry over to the second, and I will just recommend, if you are going to play Death Stranding 2, you probably should play 1 first. You're going to like the game more if you do. You'll understand all the references and the characters who return. Okay, so the story is the strong point. The graphics and music, mocap, all outstanding. But the two criticisms that I have of the game are as follows. Number one, the gameplay is still boring, and it's a lot of padding. There's several times during the course of the game where you're not even going to like a new area of the map, but the game will literally force you to backtrack to a point in the other area of the map you've already been, and then to go back. And they'll have some reason you can't fast travel as well. Oh, something's not working. Now you have to actually go back on foot or in a vehicle. Wait, what? But I just traversed across this entire huge map and it took me 10, 20 hours. Now you want me to do a mission where I got to go all the way back and it's nothing new. It's not like, oh, new things will happen. Maybe there's an enemy you have to fight, but it's the same. A lot of the game sadly just feels a lot like padding. And so my playthrough was around, I would say, 40 hours or so, probably give or take, probably a few more than that. If the game didn't have the padding, meaning you have to go back and do this, oh, this is not working now, so it takes you longer to do it, this game would have been around 20 hours long. And that's fine. Like if the game was 20 hours long and it didn't make you bored and you just saw a great story and it had just one journey across the whole map, I probably would have not had a criticism here. But the problem is there's too much padding, too much repetition. It basically makes you redo stuff, and that's boring. My second criticism is very simple. I can't fully explain it because it's a huge plot spoiler, but there is one element of the plot that Kojima, when he was writing the story, thought would be a secret and thought that this would be a big reveal at the end. But if you have half a brain, it's actually quite easy to figure out this thing way early in the plot. Like I figured it out, no lie, like 15 hours into the game. And then he keeps like saying, oh, I wonder what this is. I wonder what this is. Well, I kind of already know what it is. I figured out your twist. And then at the end, it's literally the last thing in the story. Oh, here's the twist. We already knew that. So the ending isn't as impactful as I feel like Kojima wanted it to be because it was so easy to figure out his surprise twist ending. Okay. But for the most part, outside of those two criticisms, it's a good game. What I would say is this, and this is how I described it to my audience at the end. The Death Stranding series at this point seems to be the kind of game that when you have a long day at school or work or whatever it may be that you have to do and it stresses you out, you come home, you turn on your PlayStation, and you play this game for a couple of hours. It doesn't matter if the gameplay is challenging, because it's not. It's very easy. It doesn't matter if the gameplay is riveting, because it's not. It's pretty repetitious and boring. But this game is a great way to just unwind. Just focusing on how do I do a delivery? How do I get past a group of bandits? As simplistic as that sounds, that's the kind of stuff you want to do when you're unwinding. Maybe play some music on the side. Maybe have a TV show or something on YouTube playing while you're playing the game. And now it doesn't seem as boring. You see what I mean? This game, no exaggeration, has like between 100 to 150 hours of gameplay if you do everything. There's that much side content, but the problem is, guess what the side content is? Delivering packages, traversing the environment, fighting bandits, and killing the entities called BTs. That's it. It's the whole game. So if the core gameplay of the game is boring, why would you ever do the side content? Because you're looking for a game that's a time sink. You know, this is how you want to play it. This is the game you play when you get home from work or school to relax. It's not, oh, I'm trying to get through the game as fast as possible. Or, oh, I'm actually streaming this game for an audience and I'm trying to make every moment entertaining. That's really not how this game was designed. And as long as you go into it understanding that, I think you'll like Death Stranding 1 and 2. Okay? Death Stranding 2 is not a huge departure from 1. It's almost identical to the first game. So if you like the first game, you'll love the sequel. The story directly continues. I definitely recommend you play the first game before the second. And if you like the story of Death Stranding 1, you're going to like the story of Death Stranding 2. It'll be worth all of that gameplay that you had to grind through to see the plot. Kojima has now done it twice. But you have to understand that this is not a game meant for challenge. This is not a game meant for riveting gameplay. It's more for that, oh my lord, what weird, convoluted, insano story did Kojima write again? You'll get that with this game. And as long as you understand that's what you're getting into, I think you'll like Death Stranding 2. But if you're looking for challenge, if you're looking for innovation, if you're looking for tons of riveting gameplay, stay away. This game will be boring to you. And those are my final thoughts on Death Stranding 2. I hope that you all enjoyed them. What did you think about the game? By now, many of you probably have completed it as well. Leave a comment on the video and let me know what your personal thoughts are about Death Stranding 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.